period.
Do you ever do yoga?
All the time, man. All the time. And if I were to tell somebody one thing right now, man, that psoas muscle and getting that hip flexor opened up, because we're all stressed the fuck out. It's so much worse than others. It changed my life.
Yeah. How do you say Nick Gregorius? How do you say his last name? The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt from England, the Greek fella. He has a great quote about yoga. He said, yoga is a martial art you do against yourself.
Yep.
It's a great way of putting it.
100%.
That's what it feels like when you're in there, right?
100%.
And so how many years ago was this? It was 5 years ago
5
where
years
you couldn't
ago.
do anything? And how long was there a period where you couldn't work out at all?
There was so I always tried to do something, but I couldn't run hardly at all. I could run maybe half a mile, and all that heart shit would happen, and my heart would get AFib, and all kinds of stuff would happen. And I started just stretching, and also I tried to do pull-ups every now and then, but everything was just, I didn't have the energy. I didn't have anything. I mean, nothing was processing right for me.
So did you think that you had just broken your body because you pushed it too hard?
100%. I sat back in that bed that night, and I had a lot of time to reflect. I said, you know what? I was actually kind of proud of myself in a very sick, twisted way. I even though people don't understand it, I had to do what I had to do. And, and I did it. Like, I didn't tell you how I got into ultra running. There's a lot of things that, so I pushed it extremely hard. I went way beyond what I thought was capable. Like my first ultra race I did, I was heavier. I was in Iraq, the Marcus Luttrell lone survivor. I was in BUD/S. I was in 3 Hell Weeks, as you know, as I said a million times. And I knew a lot of guys that died in the operation. I was at free fall school with Morgan Luttrell, who was his twin brother, during the Operation Red Wings, where Marcus Luttrell was the only survivor. I knew Marcus Luttrell well, and I was about 200 some odd pounds, and I didn't run hardly at all at this time. I was a SEAL, but I was like a bodybuilder. And I did elliptical trainer 20 minutes on Sunday. That's all I did. That's all I did. Fuck that cardio stuff. I was never about it until this happened. So that happened, and I was like, man, I got to find a way to raise money for these families. So I Googled I found a foundation, the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, and I Googled the 10 hardest races in the world. I knew nothing about ultra running. The first I'd ever run was 20 miles at one time. And so what came up was the Badwater 135, 135-mile run through Death Valley in the summertime. I thought it was a fucking stage race. I didn't know people can run 135 miles at one time. I had no idea it was even possible.
What do you mean a stage race?
Where you run like 20 miles, camp out,
stages.
And then run 20 more till you get 135 miles.
Right.
So I went to ultra runner, didn't know what ultra runner was. I called the race director up, Chris Kosman of the Badwater, and he said, are you an ultra runner? And I was like, I don't know what that is. He goes, have you run 100 miles in 24 hours or less? I was like, no. But I said, I'm a Navy SEAL. I was in 3 Hell Weeks. I was a Ranger. I gave him some resume. He didn't give a shit. He said, I don't care. You got to qualify for my race. And the deadline was up in 2 months for this Badwater race. And basically, he said, there's 2 more races you can do to qualify. And I might consider you in my race. We select top 90 athletes in the world, and you're not even an ultra runner. But I like your cause, like what you're doing. He said, I'll call him up on a Wednesday. And he goes, there's a race on Saturday in San Diego one day, where you run around a 1-mile track for 24 hours. So many miles you can get. If you get 100 in 24 hours, I will consider you in my race. I did the math. It's 14-some-minute mile. Fuck it. I can do that. Dumb shit thinking, I'll tell you that right now. It was rough. Worst pain I've been in my entire life was this race. So I have my wife at the time, she's now my ex-wife. We go to Walmart, get a blue lawn chair, Ritz crackers, and Mileplex. That's what I'm going to have for a 100-mile run. So, show up at the start line of this race. It was the AUA National Championships. It's like the best ultra runners compete against each other to see how many miles you can get in 24 hours. And I'm this big bodybuilder-looking guy with a shirt off.
How much did you weigh back then?
I would say I was at least 230. At least. It may have been more.
And jacked.
Yeah, I was ripped the fuck up. I big old chest. I was jacked up. There's a picture of me.
You definitely didn't look like someone who could run 100 miles.
No, not at all. So basically, I start running, and I get to about mile 40, mile 50, and I'm feeling pretty good. I get to mile 70, and it was the worst pain of my life. I sat down in this blue lawn chair at mile 70, and The Ritz crackers after mile 20 became Ritz cracker balls 'cause I wasn't hydrating correctly. I didn't know what to do. I was drinking Mileplex for my nutrition because I couldn't eat these Ritz crackers. Had very minimal water, if any at all, and I was just dying. So I sat down in this blue lawn chair as I was watching all these runners go around in this circle. I was all dizzy and lightheaded, hadn't gone to the bathroom. It's been about 12 hours. I went 70 miles in about 12 hours, which is good. And I looked at my ex-wife now, and I was like, I am fucked. And I started seeing like 3 of her. And once my body stopped, my mind just went off. And I had to go to the bathroom. And the bathroom was it's like 20 feet away from me, if that. And I couldn't. And so I sat there and peed blood down my leg and started cramping up my back, and with 30 miles to go. And my feet were broken. I was just in the worst shape, because once you stop running, not running like that, I mean, I hadn't run in almost a year. I was just doing bodybuilding stuff and 20 minutes on the elliptical trainer.
No running at all.
I probably ran no more than 50 miles the whole year. That wasn't my thing. I wanted to be like jacked. You know,
Right.
I didn't want to be cardio guy. I wanted to be ripped, big Navy SEAL guy. And the day before this race, it's funny, this guy named Joe Burns, who put me through my Hell Weeks, a SEAL guy, he's one of the hardest guys out there. He was in the gym the Friday before I did this race. And he was doing a full body squats, deadlifts, power cleans. I said, fuck it, man. He's the guy that approved me to do this race. He gave me the approval to go do this race and signed off on it. Saw him in the gym. I went in there and did a full body, hardcore squats, deadlifts, and everything with this guy. Because I knew he was going to come watch me in this race. So I've always been about, all right, man, you're going to see me come in here and jack this weight, and tomorrow you can watch me do a 100-mile run. What do you think about that?